Hi, I'm Sreela Banerjee, and when I was preparing for this talk, I thought I would love to be a mathematician who was telling a story to Alice, and there would be stuffed rabbits and little white gloves and going down a hole, and that would be engaging to everybody all at once. And I thought, well, okay, what could I actually bring up from real experience? And here is my little list. Secret weapon, a stuffed elephant, a dismembered hand, just in case you're into the gory, an ego adjustment, a giant spring, just in case there are industrialists here. There's somebody here from the military, I know. A defiant teenager, because we are talking about families, a UK Parliament, and a slogan on a T-shirt. And if you asked me to write fiction about any of this, I would be truly challenged. But actually, real life is better. I can. Okay, so I'm going to start with the secret weapon. Please imagine 3 11-year-olds sitting in a class of, in a needlework room. 3 people, little 11-year-old girls, 1 teacher, and she's teaching us about mindfulness. This was a school in India in circa 1970s, and I remember learning about mindfulness as these stuffed elephants that were on the cutting room table slowly grew day by day. So the next day the girls would come in and there would be a little bit more beadwork, and the next day the girls would come in and there would be a little bit more stuffing in the trunk, you know? And these elephants grew. And as these elephants grew, we learned something very, very fundamental. And that is how to pay attention in the moment. Now today, mindfulness is about, it's about a lot of things. It's about a lot of neuroscientists doing a lot of work on the effectiveness of mindfulness. It is about government departments saying that mindfulness is a very good tool for addressing mental health problems. It's about the various fundraising projects to do with mindfulness. But actually, I learned mindfulness as something that you do every day. You do it just like you clean your teeth. You do your few minutes of mindfulness, then you go out. And that's what I'm advocating. I'm advocating that it is something that should be learned. And if you learn it early enough, you should have a very different quality of life. Here is my evidence. As the stuffed elephants grew, I was coming in from a rural part of Calcutta into the main school in Calcutta, and one day I saw a dismembered hand. Go back to the 1970s Naxalite movement. That's another story. I'd be borrowing other people's time if I told it. And when we sat down to do our mindfulness, my mind kept going back to that. But actually, I learned from practical experience that if you look at that emotion, if you look at that fear as it comes into your body and see where it is in your body, it can't withstand your scrutiny. It will go away very, very slowly, and it'll go away over a couple of days, but it will go away. Why? Because you are more powerful than the fear. The fear, whatever it is, doesn't like to be looked at. And that's one of the main lessons you learn. If you learn that early enough, an enormous number of things in your life will change. Not because you changed it, but because you just know this. Not because somebody told you, but because you've done it. Roll forward a few years. I turn up at the London School of Economics. Everybody there has been at the top of their class in school. And for a few minutes, I stand there and I think, oh my goodness, I'm not going to be good enough. But even as I'm standing there feeling that, I can feel where I can feel it in the body, because that's the technique I was taught. And as I can feel it in the body, I can say to myself, Okay, that's how it feels. Right. Okay. And then I remember that the person that I am and the person who's standing behind that feeling, as witness to that feeling, is going to prevail. How do I know that? Because I've done it. When did I do it? When I was small. It didn't matter to me that nobody came and told me on the day, oh, well, do you know what? This is how it's going to work. They didn't. I did it because that's what I did. Just after I clean my teeth, that's what I do. And that's an incredibly important thing, not just to learn, but to know from way back. Okay, how am I going to get the giant spring in? Roll forward a few years, and we are in work, we are in corporate consultancy, we have gone to see a company, and the company has had, a few days ago, a lock on the door, front gate, people have had to leave, they were going to go into administration. We put some money in, and we got the backing of the shareholders, and we got back in, and we said, okay, we're going to make this work. And the day it all turned round was the day when we found one girl in the office came running up the stairs from the shop floor and said, Sreela, come and have a look. We have made an absolutely giant spring. I said, really? How big? She said, you know what? I can stand in it. You know, you can stand in it, come. And the whole office benefited from this one girl being in the moment, because just for that one moment, she'd forgotten that there had been a lock in the front door. They'd forgotten that the factory was going to close. She was living just now and looking forward. And that was fabulous. If you start from a place of compassion, if you start from a place of understanding, that will give you the most enormous benefit in any part of work, any aspect of work. We happen to do corporate consultancy, any walk of life, it's going to help. And then, how can I mention the UK Parliament? Well, I actually went and had a chat with the joint chair of the all-party parliamentary group on mindfulness. Did you know that there was such a thing? I didn't know that there was such a thing. It was so incredibly uplifting. It's an all-party group. It's got three party chairmen. I spoke to one of them, and he said something that really made me optimistic. He said, there are 90 people who are currently in the UK Parliament who have got the beginnings of a practice, of a personal practice. But here's the good news. As they have started, there are 80 members of staff who have joined, and they are also setting up their own practice. Isn't that wonderful? If the people who represent us, who we send to Parliament, are able to take 2 seconds in their day and say, where am I? What am I responding to? Why am I here? Who put me here? How will I respond to this particular challenge? Then I think that we will be better served. I'm going to talk to you last about a slogan on a T-shirt. Because this is a parenting conference, thank you, Marlene, and because this is about life skills, I became a parent very much later in life. And I now have a teenager, and the other day he came running in from the car, 4 bags of shopping in the back of the car, and just was going to run upstairs. And I said, hey, give me a hand. And he refused. And I could feel this knot in the bottom of my stomach. And I thought to myself, okay, what am I going to do? So I said, okay, just stop for a moment, just don't go any further. I'm going to ask you exactly how you feel. Check yourself out, okay? Head, neck, shoulders. Okay. Turns out that he was thirsty. Turns out that he was slightly tense. turns out that he really needed the bathroom, so it's just why he was running. And my idea that he was running away from something was actually not right at all. So I told him, okay, and I'm standing here, and my ankle is hurting, and I have a really bad kind of knot in my stomach at the thought of unloading four of those bags. One of those has got all the tins and the milk. We need to work something out. So, between us, he went to the bathroom, he came back. Between us, we took the milk and the meat, and we put it in the fridge, and we said, right, let's just calm down. We'll look at the rest of it in half an hour. What happened was that it took the one-upmanship out of it. It took the conflict out of it. It made us acknowledge each other. It made us say that, okay, you are feeling a set of things, but your mother was also feeling a set of things. We're both people. Without taking away, because I initiated it, without taking away from my authority in the household as a mother. All I could do was to say, let's just look. And because I said it first, sometimes, he says it first. He says, Ma, can he just check you out? Yeah, I can check me out. Sometimes I say, you need to check you out. He goes and checks himself out. And that is so much happier. Do I do it all the time? No, of course not. Sometimes I shout. But sometimes I do this other thing. And because I do this other thing, kind of the temperature of it is more moderated, yes? And sometimes when I am thinking of shouting and he knows the face, he says, check you out. It resolves it. What I would do is say to you, by all means, read the neuroscience. It's brilliant. What mindfulness can do to a brain. There is actually a TED talk on mindfulness and how it changes the brain. Absolutely amazing. Go do it. It is compelling stuff. I would say thank you to the Mindfulness in Schools project, which is already having more requests from schools in the UK than it can provide teachers for. So if you would like to go and qualify as a mindfulness teacher, please go do it, because you have an enormous demand. I would like to say to you, and it's such a pleasure to talk to people who, you're preaching to the converted, aren't you? We're here, we believe this stuff. I would say, give it a try. Don't give it a try from the point of view of setting up a practice where you give up 25 minutes, 40 minutes of your time, because that will build up over time. If you would like it to. Not everybody would like it to. But give it the 3 minutes. Just check you out every morning. That's not hard to do. And the T-shirt logo is a T-shirt that my son was wearing at the time. Thank you, Nike. It said, just do it. And I wish I'd brought it with me. I would love to be able to hold it up, and it says in bright green on top of bright blue, just do it. And that, in the end, is all we can do. We can do it by learning, and learning it by doing it. Thank you for listening to me.